we're gonna go ahead and jump into it, Mari. Tonight, we're talking about parenting 101. And also, we're gonna be talking about some self-affirmations. And we did put a link in the chat earlier. If you're interested in getting our self-affirmations, just copy that link and we'll be glad to send them to you for your enjoyment. But they are the Mommies Matters affirmations. So, and we did about 10 of them, but they're really cute. So we're hoping that we can share those with you if you're interested. So tonight we're going to be talking about parenting 101, and we're just going to be giving some tips on, what we do to parent. And if you have any questions, if you have any dialogue to add, just feel free to drop it in the chat. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So Mari, what's the first tip?
Yes, so the first tip is to create a schedule that works for you and your children. You can establish a routine. You can create regulatory scheduled times for your meals, bath, and sleep. We all need a schedule to go by just so that we can have something to look forward to.
Yes, I totally agree. Schedules are very important because they create habits. Schedules are habit forming. So they give our kids a way to learn to look forward to things at the end of the day. It also gives us something to look forward to at the end of the day because then we know what time the kids are going to bed. We know the time that we're going to have to ourselves. And it also gives us to map out that time that we're going to spend with our child. We're going to feed them at this time. We get to sit down together at this time. We're gonna bathe them at this time. I know that I get to ask them questions when I give my daughter a bath. I get to ask her questions about her day and things that she's done, and I get to help her play while she's in the bath, kind of thing. Also, the schedule also lets us know what we need throughout the week. For our kids. If I have a schedule, I'm putting things in my planner. I know that I'm going out with my girls on Tuesday. I know I need to schedule my childcare for that, those kind of things. So I think that's a really good tip, Mari. How do you use the schedule?
Yes. I also follow a schedule routine. I like to use my calendar to take care of my business stuff and everything. And then I also like to have a scheduled routine with me and my child from day to night. And nighttime is the most important time. I usually like to give him a bath at night, and then during bedtime, we'll read a bedtime story together. Not only does that give the opportunity for me and him to bond, but it also gives him the opportunity to learn.
Okay. So another like a really important tip is to make sure you find reliable childcare. All right, things do come up and we know we need different things. Whether it be a family member, whether it be somebody that we have to pay. I know that I need someone that I can depend on when I say I need a babysitter or to keep my child for a couple of hours. If I'm going out of town to keep my child for a weekend, I need to make sure that I need to have those things lined up and in order and that I can depend on that person. Now, there's some no's for this too, because this person, your reliable child care, is not someone that a new friend you just met. All right. Your reliable child care is not a new partner. And also, your reliable child care is a lot of people that may have multiple kids. Sometimes they let the older kids watch the kids. I think in certain states, teenagers can babysit kids and it's legal, but that shouldn't always be your reliable child care. We want our reliable child care to be an adult that we have a trustworthy relationship with, because the welfare of our kids are is very important. I'm one of those moms, Mari, and I don't know about you. I just don't leave my child with anybody outside of her grandparents. Honestly, with me, and I've been fortunate, I call it a blessing, but outside of her grandparents, her grandmothers, I haven't really left my child with anyone. So they are my go-to people when I need a sitter. Now I do have another good friend that I believe I could trust her, trust with my daughter if I were to go somewhere out of, out of town. I got a trip coming up for the first time. I am going to go on a vacation in a couple of weeks, and I'm not taking my mom and the girls. Like, they are staying behind. This is for me. I usually take them everywhere. As you know, I take them everywhere. But this time, I'm like, no, I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to be grown. I'm not going to be a mom. Like, I'm going out of town for a couple of days, and they are staying here. So she'll be with my mom for those days. So that is my reliable child care. I have a neighbor down the street who has a teenage daughter. If I need to run out for a couple of hours, Cash App on deck. Let me Cash App the teenager, send her with some snacks. And she is going with my neighbor down the street, who happens to be one of my coworkers. But I can trust her to keep my daughter for me for a few hours. And I've been knowing her for about 5 years now, that kind of thing. I pick her daughter up for her. She picks my daughter up for me if I need to, that kind of thing. So what do you think about that, Mari?
Yes, I think that's so important with having somebody that is very trustworthy to care for your kids when you're unable to care for them at that time, because there's so much going on. You just have to be very careful because you don't know what certain people may be capable of. So I'm the same way with my son. I like to leave him with someone super trustworthy, like his grandparents. And honestly, think I don't think I've let my child stay with anyone outside of his grandparents, honestly. So I'm the same way when it comes to him.
All right, so I'm totally with you on that one. All right, so I guess we can dig into our next tip.
So we also need to set expectations and limits.
Yeah.
This is great as it relates to teaching your child manners, and just reinforce those rules and give them consequences for when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Because if you just let them sit up there and do what they want to do, it's going to make things not only harder for you, but harder for that child, because both of you are just going to be going crazy. What do you think about that, Raven?
Yes. My daughter is like, she is 7, but she is not an adult. So I have to remind her, if she wants something, if she wants a bag of popcorn, she needs to say, Mommy, may I get a bag of popcorn? Sure, you can get a bag of popcorn. You're welcome. She says, thank you. I say, you're welcome. But if those things don't take place, then I have to back her up and make sure that she does those things, because I'm trying to make sure that she has good manners. And I'm trying to make sure she can communicate her needs. So in that setting expectations realm, teaching your child to converse, teaching your child to act in different settings, those kind of things, and luckily I've been doing a good job because I can take my child anywhere and she's very well behaved, but I want her to exercise those manners. So if she doesn't do it, she can't get it until I'll redirect her. She does it correctly, then she can get it, type thing. So and you have to have those expectations, and you have to have your limits, and if I give her a couple of chances, every child, they have their days, they're kids. But if she does something she's not supposed to do, I reach my limit. You don't get your iPad today, because there have to be consequences for different behaviors. Our parents, they may be proponents of whippings and spankings, but honestly, I haven't done a lot of that. So, and that may be something that's highly criticized, but I don't believe that I should have to spank my child to get her to act or respond a certain way to different things. I don't do that. I talk to my child. And we pretty much have a peaceful household. There's not a lot of yelling and all that stuff going on here. We just talk. We talk. Hey, that's not the way we do that. I need you to do it this way. Yes, ma'am. She does it that way, and then we go about it. So my expectations are being met, and she's a good kid, type of thing. So in one of those things this week, she asked for piano lessons. So she's been in the piano lessons for about a couple months now. And when she does not practice as she should, she wants a shadow high doll. And so we've been keeping a calendar. If she meets her practice hours for this month, then she can get the doll. But the consequence and the limit is if you don't practice, you don't get that new doll. Okay. Or, those kind of things. I tell her to go clean her room and I come and her room is not clean. I have to help her clean that room. So you can't get that new puppy because you're not responsible enough to clean your room by yourself. I know you're not responsible enough to take care of that puppy. So establishing those limitations and letting her know what I expect of her, making that clear, the things that I want her to do. What about you?
The same way, just to piggyback off of when you were talking about her iPad. My son, if he starts acting crazy with his tablet and everything and throwing it and doing all kind of crazy stuff, I take it away from him. And when he gets to that point, that's when I know, okay, you've had too much time on these electronics. So we're going to set a limit on this. You're only going to be on here for a certain time. And that helps him so much. And if I was to just let him stay on it all day, every day, he would be just sitting there like a zombie looking at the tablet. And I can't do that with him. So setting those limits are so important. And a lot of kids don't get outside like we used to when we were children growing up. So we have to have those limits. Take them out for a walk for about 20, 30 minutes. Take them to the playground. Help them to get that fresh air. And then at nighttime, they can sleep better just because they've been able to burn that energy off by going outside and running and playing.
Yes. Okay, so the other thing that I think the next tip is going to be not to feel guilty. We touched on this in the beginning, but we really on one of our other episodes, but we didn't go into it a lot. But it's feeling guilty when you make decisions for your child, or things you can do for your child and things you can't do for your child. Like, don't feel guilty about what you can and can't do. Because as moms, whether we're single moms or not, the responsibilities are high. Let's just be honest. There are some single dads out there, but let's just be honest. The responsibility is on us as mothers when it comes to dealing with the children, for the most part. In some households, may be a little bit different. But for me and all my girlfriends, I know the responsibility is on us. So don't feel guilty about what you can and can't do for your child when you're doing the best you can.
You shouldn't feel guilty, because if you try to overdo things and do things that you know that you can't do for your child, you're going to run yourself crazy. You're going to be stressing out. And you don't want to set that unrealistic expectation for your child. You're going to have your child thinking, oh, she can do this, oh, she can do that, when you're knowing deep down inside you can't really do that. So it's best to be honest with your child and say, hey, mommy can't do this right now, but we can do such and such. And we need to do more of that.
Yes. And for instance, I with my daughter being an only child, if we go into the store, she's gonna ask for something. And it was something before my dad passed away, he would get on to me about it, always buying her everything she asked for. My mom would tell me not to buy her everything she asked for. But I was like, I do need to stop buying her everything she asked for, because what if there comes a time when I can't? Like, I don't want her to freak out because she can't have something that she wants. So I tested it out, and we went into the store. She wanted a toy, and I was like, "No, you can't get that toy." She says, "Mom, why can't I get the toy?" Well, because we just bought one yesterday, and that is too many toys. Let's wait. Maybe you can get one toy a week. So that's what we started to do. Or, Mom, can I get that toy? Nope, you can't get that toy. Why? Well, because we're saving. Well, what are we saving for, Mom? Well, you said you wanted to go on a trip. So we have to save for that trip. We can't go on that trip if you get a toy every day when we go into Walmart. So those kind of things. And then at first, now I did feel bad because I'm like, I didn't buy my child something she wanted. But guess what? She didn't think about that toy again. But, so we limited, instead of it being an everyday thing or every other day thing, she can get a small toy each week. I do that, which some people may think is excessive, but I do that because that's my only child. And she could probably get a big toy once each month. And I'm okay with that. Because she does everything I expect her to do. But when I don't do it, I no longer feel bad about it, you know, because that causes us to, if that causes us to stay up a little bit late at night thinking about the things we could do or the things we were not able to do for our kid. So that's just one of those things. I know that mom guilt is real. Especially when we as moms are making decisions. Do I do this for my child or do I pay the light bill? Do I pay the light bill or do I pay my child's band fees? Or that kind of thing. Or you can't do cheerleading and band, you have to choose one because our funds are just not set up that way. So there are some moms out there making these decisions, but we can't feel guilty when we're doing the best we can. Like, that's something I want to stress, because mom guilt is real and it shows up a whole lot of ways. It could show up in personal ways. Maybe you didn't get to cook, maybe you missed a basketball game or a football game, or maybe you can't buy the toy because you simply can't afford it, kind of thing. So it shows up in various forms about things that we can do to support our kids, and about things that we can physically do for our kids, because we can't do 1,000 things at once. Have you experienced that, Mari?
Yeah, definitely. My child, he may say, for example, he may want to, if we're in the store, because my child is like a really young toddler. So when we're shopping in the store, when we go to the toy section, he sees all these different toys that he likes. And of course, he's going to pick up every single one that he wants and puts it in the cart. And realistically, I don't want to buy all that stuff. And of course, he's going to want to cry and get every single toy. But I have to tell him, look, you could choose one toy, but we're going to have to put these other toys back. Because I don't know about you, Raven, but I'm not going to sit up here and spend hundreds of dollars on toys every time we go shopping. So having that limit and being honest with him, and even from an early age, let your young child, your young toddler, even if he's 2, 3, let them know starting early that, look, I can only do this, so that as they get older, they will know, okay, mommy says that I can only get this or get that. And it's not that you're trying to limit your child to where you just don't want to do other things for them, but you just want them to have that realistic expectation of what you're going to allow.
My aunt put, don't buy kids everything they want, because one day you may not be able to and they will start stealing, which could be true. But I feel like, hopefully I'm doing a good job raising my child and she's not going to steal. So I got to the point where I limit what she can get. So we go into a store almost every day. I'm not gonna lie. But she's mom, it's usually to get something that we need for the house, something to cook. But mom, can I get a toy? And the answer, it used to be, yeah, I would say put it in the buggy. But now I'm saying, no, you just bought a toy yesterday. That was your toy for this week. And that's that. But hopefully we're teaching our kids. I mean, if you're able to do it, then do it. But if you can't, all mothers can't buy a toy once a week. All mothers can't buy a toy once a month. It just depends. And sometimes I tell my daughter, like, that's the only thing you're getting this month because you said you want to go on a trip. So we have to save. You're going to put that money for that toy in your piggy bank. Or if you didn't practice whatever you're supposed to practice, nope, you can't do it. Your room is not clean. Nope, you can't get that toy. And at first I was feeling guilty because I wasn't giving my child what she wanted. But when I realized that she woke up the next day, the same happy little kid, she'll be just fine. I do not have to buy that toy every day, kind of thing. So that's how it worked for me. Like, don't feel guilty about what you can't do when you're doing the best you can, kind of thing. Stuff happens. Power bills are going up. My power bill has already jumped up $40 more than what it was last month because
Very.
my air is on 72. So I have to compensate for that other $40 somewhere. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Everything is going up.
Every gas.
Gas. I spend double the amount on gas than what I used to.
Yes, but let me tell you something. Um, just to get off topic for just a second. So I live at the Georgia line. All right, Phoenix City, Columbus. I live at the Georgia line. And in Phoenix City, gas is like 4.30 something. Well, if I drive 7 minutes or less, 5 minutes or less into Georgia, right across the interstate, gas is $3.99. So when I saw the $3.99, I'm like, "Ooh, that is too expensive. I am not about to pay that for gas." But I got closer to home and I was like, "Oh, let me turn around and go back and fill my truck up because I'm about to save a couple of cents per gallon. I'm about to save 40 cents per gallon." So I turned back around and drove because it does, like, any way you can save your coins these days, it matters, especially when you're putting, like, inflation is so real right now. I'm spending my usually $120 visit Walmart is now $180. So, no, she cannot get that toy every day when we go into a store. She can't. Like, no, you can't. We have to save. And then as a mother and as a woman, I want her to see that because one day she's gonna be a mother too, and she will remember. Nope, I can't buy all these toys because I have to save my money. Like, I don't want to, some mothers are making those tough decisions. Some mothers are telling their children they can't do, but I'm not ready to be in a situation when I tell my child we can't. That kind of thing. But if I do have to tell her we can't, I don't want to feel bad about it. She needs to know that when mama says we can't or no, we can't do that, it's okay because mama is working on something else. Today may not be a good day, but tomorrow is going to be a better day, kind of thing. So, and I also think it's okay to talk to your kids about your situation. Like right now, we're working out some things. Right now, we're saving for some things, so we can't spend money excessively. We have to prioritize. It's okay to talk to your kids about some things, but make sure you talk to them where you're not insulting another parent or you're not talking to them like they're grown. On kiddie terms, we can't do that right now because we're spending too much money and we need to be saving it so that we can go on your dream trip one day. I think that's okay to let your kids know why. What do you think, Mari?
Yeah, it is. I think it's very important to be honest with them and let them know. And I'll just to elaborate on what you were saying about telling them in a kiddie way. I think that's very important to do because you don't want them to feel like so stressed to the point where it's like they feel like this is like grown people stuff. I have to grow up early and stuff like that. So it's so important to still talk to them like they're a child.
Mm-hmm. My mom said, "Well, I tell my grandkids when we go in the store, I'm not buying nothing extras today." See, it's so much easier for the more experienced moms, I suppose, for the grannies. All right. So the next tip we have, Mari, is to lean on others. All right. This one is really cool. Like, this is really cool. Lean on others. You can't do it all by yourself. So I think this may be cool because, like, if I have a friend, like my neighbor up the street, I know that I can call her to keep my daughter for me for a few hours. Her teenage daughter can babysit. But then she may want me to keep the teenager for a few hours or take her out and about. Like, I'm okay with doing that swap because then I know that I have someone that I can count on once a week or once every other week to give myself a couple of hours to myself. Whether I want to go somewhere alone and get my nails done or my toes done or whatever the case may be, or if I just want to go hang out with my homegirls for a couple of hours, I know that I have someone. And shout out to grandma. I know that I have someone that I can drop my child off to for a few hours. So what do you think about that when leaning on others? Do you think that's a good idea?
That's so important, especially if uh, you are one of those moms where you have to be with your child 24/7 and you just don't have much help. It is so important to be sure to lean on others. I have a neighbor down the street that has a husband that was um, stationed somewhere outside of the country for a while. So she was basically raising her child by herself. So what we would do sometimes is we would go and take walks together and schedule play dates. So her son and my son will play together. And then me and her could have our little girl talks and sip on some wine and just chill. So I think it's so important to also have that so you can have that adult time while your child is having that play time.
Okay. And yes, schedule play dates too. Like it's really cool to schedule those play dates, Mari, because a play date is not a parent dropping their child off to you. A play date is the kids play and you get to talk to another adult, the parent of the child you're playing with, and have a grown up release and talk about grown up things um while the kids are playing. So that's another thing too. Lean on others. Have the when you need a grown up release, schedule the play date, not just for the kids, but schedule it for you. The kids are playing, but you bought your meal, you bought your adult glass container or whatever you needed to bring, and y'all are talking it up and eating while those kids run and play. So you tired your child out, but you also release some mental baggage as well in that same instance. So I think that's a good idea to establish those play dates. Call on your family members to give you a break. Call on your friends, your trustworthy friends, to give you a break when you need to. And this one right here, because this week right here does wrap up Mental Health Awareness Month. I think the month ends on Tuesday, but we cannot stress this enough. Our tip number 6 is to take care of yourself. That is so important. Do something to take care of yourself daily, not monthly, not weekly, but do something to take care of yourself daily. If you're here, we got 6 on. If you're here, what are you doing to take care of yourself? All right, drop it in the chat. What is something that you're doing to just have a moment for yourself? And what are some tips you have for taking care of yourself, Mari?
So, one tip I suggest is to get at least 30 minutes of physical activity in for the day. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. You could take a short walk and talk on the phone with a friend while you're walking to speed up the time frame. I also love to do this at nighttime after I put my son to sleep. I have a diffuser that I put essential oils and water in, and that helps me to relax before I go to sleep. What are some things that you do, Raven?
So I'm a big essential oil wax person as well. So like I try to make sure my environment also always smells good. Also, that physical activity, getting that in. I try to walk. I try to do something every day. I'm about to start back going to the gym, and I'm big on you have to invest in yourself and self care. So with this weight loss journey, and this is not an ad, nobody is paying me, but because I had to pay them, and we don't want to talk about what I had to pay, but you have to invest in yourself. So yesterday was my first day off work for the summer. So I went to the Columbus Metabolic Research Center and I signed up for that program that they're supposed to help you lose weight. And they put me on, I start this detox plan on the 6th. Pray for me. Big prayers. I need them. Pray for me because I have to start this detox plan. I told him, no, it's not realistic to say I'm going to start this weekend because I'm going to eat. It's a holiday. But on the 6th, I have to start this detox plan to start my journey to healthier living. So pray for me. Some parents drop their kids off and don't come back to the next day. Now, we said reliable child care. So the child care provider does need to establish some boundaries. Now, I'm not one of those parents, but the child care provider needs to establish those boundaries, especially if you're going to drop your child off. You need to let the child care provider know if you're coming back today or if you're coming back tomorrow. that kind of thing, because we don't want people worried about us. But yes, take care of yourself. Go schedule those doctor's appointments. Schedule those therapy appointments. Get out and move, because we are our best selves when we get in that physical activity each day. All right, what's our next tip, Martin?
So always stay positive. It's so
Um,
important to be very positive. Tell your child it's okay. Um, if you're having a difficult time, be sure to let them know that things are going to get better if you are dealing with something that you're struggling with or that your child may be struggling with.
and
And positivity is so important.
I totally agree with that. And just piggybacking off of what I already said, like, remember, do not talk to the child like the child is an adult. Stay positive. Always try to communicate with them on their terms, in kitty language, where they can understand, um and it's okay to tell them things. Just don't tell them in a harsh way, because they're not going to forget. And a lot of people, our kids know us almost as well as we know ourselves. So they know when we're stressed out. You know, they know when we have a bad day. All those things. So your child can see when you're stressed, and your child can get stressed as a result of your stress. And just like you stay up and worry, you don't want to tell your child something and you tell them to go to bed at 9 o'clock and they're up because they're worried just like you. So you got to remember to make it's okay to tell your child things, but make sure it stays on a kitty level. And something I never do is talk bad about my child's father to her. If there is something he's not doing right, she will figure that out when she becomes an adult, or she will figure that out when she becomes a teenager and she can think a little bit more for herself. But I'm not going to plant that seed in her mind. And it's a whole bunch of us who grew up around poverty. I grew up around poverty and I didn't even know it because my parents took care of me so well. So it's okay to tell your child things and tell them in a kiddie way. But I never knew I grew up around poverty until I became old, and I was like, dang, I was the only child on my block with a computer. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, I thought all people did not have that kind of thing. So those are the things that we have to think about. Grandparent duty is 9 to 5 if needed. We have a life too. I want to take care of myself. I want to go browse in stores and do my spa day. Oh yeah, personal appointments and friends. Okay, and sometimes the children end up babysitting for the grandparents because the grandparents want to keep everybody's children. Just gonna say, let that be known now. But yes, take care of yourself and stay positive. All right, what's our next tip, Mari?
So it's so important to also tell your children, I love you. Tell them I love you as much as you can. At the start of the day, the end of the day, the middle of the day. It's
Yeah.
so imperative that your child hears these words from you, because we were just talking about staying positive. That's another form of positivity, but you also want them to feel loved, and it's also going to translate from them with you doing it for them. They'll also do the same thing as they grow up and have that love for who they need to give that love to.
Yes, let me tell you, when I wake my child up in the morning, the first thing it's with a kiss and I love you. All right, I tell her to go get something, really, and get the forks. Oh, you're so helpful. I love you. All right, that drop off at school. I love you. Have a great day. Before we go to bed, we say those prayers and good night and I love you. I may just send her a text message in the middle of the day. I love you, because I want her to see that, because I need her to know that she is loved. Because the first thing is, I don't want her to look for that in the wrong places. She needs to know that she has parents who love her. She is already loved. All right, tell them they're beautiful. Tell those little girls how beautiful they are. Tell your son how smart he is. They need to hear these. That I love you can come in different ways. Praise your child. When they do something good, They clean their room. You're so awesome. You're so helpful. You cleaned your room. You're so responsible. Tell them these things, sing them their praises, make them feel good about themselves. And also, this makes them feel like they're contributing to the household as well. Because they do, they play a part in the household. And tell them, like, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, tell your child those. They need to hear that come from you. And by all means, don't call your child any negative names. Now I know these old school parents, oh, they have lived through it. But just because somebody else did it, we don't have to do it. Like my daughter, I call her by her name and daughter and sweet pea and little nicknames that I may have for her. But it's negative, it's never gonna be anything negative. Like love on your child and sing them praises. And I hate to mention this, but in the world that we're living in, where all this crazy stuff is taking place, like the shooting in Buffalo, this elementary school was just shot up. I can't even put myself in the shoes of one of those parents. But love on your kids. Let your kids know that you love them every day. That is very important. I can't stress it enough. All right, tell your children that you are having a bad day and everything will be good and that you love them. Yes, auntie, that that is true. Like it is okay to let your kids know mama is having a bad day today, but everything is gonna be all right. And I love you, and you just made my day so much better. Because as moms, that's just what we have to do sometimes. We have to smile through the tears and keep working towards the greater good for our kids. So that's just what good mamas do. All right, what's our next tip, Mari?
So it's always great to have other positive role models for your child outside of just you. So this can be anyone, like their grandparents, a friend. It could be anyone.
Yes, it can. So I think I think it's good and a positive thing when you can expose your child to people outside of your house that are doing great things. I have friends who are nurses and friends who are teachers and friends who are working in the science field. And, it's important for my child to see these women because I want her to know that girls rock, girls rock in general. And I want her to be exposed to these different types of women. And I also, if you have, and when they're in need of father figures, you have dads and uncles and cousins who are positive, and I tell her, you know, do I need to call Uncle Bubba? No. Like, mom, please don't call him. I got it, kind of thing. So it's okay. It's very important that if we don't have those role models in the home, that we expose them to them outside of our home, whether it be church members, co-workers, family members, the whole shebang. But they need to see other people outside of you who are doing positive things so that they know it's attainable. Okay. So they have something to look forward to. Anything else you want to say about that, Mari?
Yeah. So I personally know someone that doesn't have his father in his life. And so his grandfather and his uncle is a positive role model in his life. So they replace that fatherly role that he can depend on, by just dependent on them. So, for example, one of his role models, which is his uncle, he takes him out to his extracurricular activities that he has to do for the day. And his grandfather takes him out to different events and different things like that and teaches him manly stuff. So, although he doesn't have his father there for him, he doesn't have a relationship with his father, he has those positive role models, male role models to help him.
Okay, and I am going to pull up in just a second our affirmations so we can show. If you want these affirmations sent to you, we have a Google Doc, and these are just some of our favorites. We have a Google Doc. You can copy and paste this link I put it in the chat again. I just dropped it in the chat. You can copy and paste that link and we will send you our list of Mommies Matters affirmations. And this is just 10 things that, if you're needing a boost throughout the day and you need to recite something to yourself, we can take turns reading through them real quick, Mari. So the first one is, I'm a great mother to my children.
I am a blessing to my family.
Everything I need comes to me at the right time.
I can and I will.
Like that one. I do all things in love.
I have faith in my decisions and actions.
I won't be afraid to use my voice.
I am smart and capable.
I am enough. So these are our Mommies Matters affirmations that we came up with. These are just some of our favorites, and we wanted to share them with you. And if you are interested in receiving those, we just dropped the link in the chat. Fill out the quick Google form, and we'll be more than happy to send those your way. We hope that you enjoyed Parenting 101. Mari, is there anything you want to leave the ladies with tonight?
Yeah, I hope these parenting notes, these parenting tips helped you so much, and we're so glad to have you here on the Mommies Matter segment.
Yes, we apologize for the technical difficulties tonight. It does happen. We learned through that. Thank you for your support. Please if you're here, hit the like button and hit that subscribe button and tell somebody. Share the YouTube link with somebody because we're doing this for the moms because we know we need an outlet. And we hope y'all be blessed and be safe this Memorial Day weekend. And we are out. Oh. Hey sis. Yes, please catch the replay. So we are out. Y'all have a good night. We love y'all. Be safe this holiday weekend.
Be safe, y'all.
Be safe.